How's the energy feeling? How's your health feeling?
Just tenfold, eh? Like it's just like the last few weeks are going good, then this last week it just went boom, and I just everything's been coming at me flat out. I'm just like whacking it and just smashing it, and yeah, it's good.
Hitting your
Uh,
straps.
Yeah, just loving it, and just the food. Like I don't know, just I had a bit of a plateau where I was getting a bit bored, but then yeah, this last week it's just come back and just into it. Yeah, it's good.
It's so good, bro, because it's that compounding effect, right? And it can feel so annoying when you're hitting those plateaus and maybe you're not seeing the results, but then the consistency really unlocks that kingdom of results. We want the energy, we want the strength, we want the vitality, we want the clarity, we want that purpose each day we're waking up, and it really takes pushing through that barrier. Hey,
It's just turning up again, like you said. Consistency wins over intensity.
yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm so stoked to hear that because it's super active in the chat as well because I'm like I don't
Ah,
know. But I'm like kind of, and you're not the only one. Like, I don't expect everyone to be like massive on socials and whatever. But I trust that processes work because I know they do. And if you guys stick with them, I know you're going to get fantastic results. So it's awesome to hear the reassurance.
yeah.
And yeah, it's very, very, very nice to hear, brother. I appreciate you checking in and jumping on the call each week as well. It helps keep you checked in. So
Probably the biggest thing I've noticed, I reckon, is just like mental clarity, like just having problems come at you, and rather than like toiling on it or avoiding it, you just sort of attack it and push it away. And if it doesn't work, go another way. Like it's just not dragging on, and it's not struggling to get it over the line.
yeah, yeah, it makes a massive difference in like confidence and then
Mm.
discipline. Like the discipline is a huge thing for decision making. When you got that discipline backing you, when your backbone's stronger, you just, like you said, you just attack things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then the other thing I've noticed is I'm getting a bit like not like judgy, but like you're hanging around looking at different people doing things and a bit of people watching. You're like, oh, geez, that was probably me, but I don't want to do that
Recording
anymore.
in progress.
yeah,
Yeah.
That was like me
That was
yesterday.
like me yesterday.
Dog.
Dog.
They had people
They
in
had
front of
people
me.
in front of me
I was running.
Are you logged on two things?
I don't know what's going on.
have a crack now, mate. Oh, he's jumped off. Az, how are you, my brother? It's good to see you.
Hey, dude, how you going?
Mate, fantastic. How are you going?
Good to hear. Yeah. Well, fucking busy, man. Busy. It's all happening at the moment, but feeling great, dude. Feeling really good. I um I realized I probably just finished the 90 days on Sunday, bro.
Yeah, you crushed it.
Yeah, feeling great. Feeling really good. I am gonna this week. I think I'm gonna go do a 30-day strict carnivore again because after doing that, everything else just seems like I'm sluggish, man.
Mm, yeah,
I've been the last 30 days, it's pretty much, I guess, what do you call like animal based and stuff. I had rice a few times and everything, and my body used to like it, but it just in comparison to the second month of strict carnivore feels subpar.
yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I resonate with that a lot. When I first
Mm,
went for, I went 9 months.
mm,
Mainly because of the issues I was dealing with. But my coach at the time, he was just like, bro, just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. You'll just get
yeah,
more benefits out of it. And the longer you can stick with it, you'll kind of age. You'll fix all of the stuff that you've done through the processed foods and drugs and alcohol and whatever you've done to thrash your body. The longer you go on carnivore, you'll actually heal and regenerate all those tissues. So you basically earn time back on the clock by having these strict periods because people will say, oh, it's strict, you're crazy, it's full on, you're not living, all of this stuff. But then they're dealing with inflammatory problems, they're dealing with, you know, mental issues, they're dealing with pains, aches, you know, body composition, all that kind of stuff. So if you can dedicate yourself to a longer period on carnivore, you're adding so much back to your vessel, which you can then move forward with. I think it's a very valuable investment.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, to be honest with you. I was excited to add some more stuff back in, but it just didn't really, in terms of if you're just looking at food as fuel and all that sort of stuff, and not taking the mouth pleasure into it, then yeah, it's the way to go, at least for a longer period of time, for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start. I only realised yesterday that Sunday was sort of the 90-day thing. I was like, well, what am I going to do now? You know, and I think that's what I know that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go for a strict 30 days on that. Workouts are good, man. That 30-day discipline thing, smash that. I've over the whole 90 days, I think I missed 4 days training. So would have liked to do them all, but yeah, whatever. Still pretty good. Feeling really good.
Yeah, it's a huge effort. And I was actually meant to reach out to you yesterday and like to catch up with you personally and just look at, like, you know, what your next 12 months looks like. Like, now you've actually recalibrated, you've put yourself in a position to truly like make a difference in your health, because we're also talking long term, like, with this stuff. Like, when you actually take control of your health, what does it look like for you to truly step into the next level? Like, that's the thing. And that's where I'm constantly challenging myself, is like, what is the next level that you think's like impossible? What do you think is unachievable? What do you think's unattainable for you? Like, is it, you know, body composition? Is it health focus? Is it blood work? Is it inflammatory? You know, bringing inflammation markers down, like disease prevention? Like, what is it in our lives are we concerned about within the future, and how do we want to combat that with the actions that we're taking each day? And when we have those long-term visions, we're not doing like, you know, 30 or 8-week challenges, or, you know, 90-day challenges or whatever. It's like, how do I want to turn up for the next 10, 20, 30, 50 years? You know, like, if we're thinking in those timeframes, who do I want to be? And a lot of the questions we're going to go over tonight really tap into that energy, because when you think bigger about your legacy, it's so much more than a couple of months of carnivore, or it's so much more than, you know, like training every day. It's like, what is the ripple effect from me as a father, from me as a leader in the family? You know, and we can, when we're in that energy, we turn up differently to like, oh, I've got to like clean up my nutrition or something for a couple of months. It's like, who do you actually want to be at the end of the day? And so that's a big question that needs to be answered regularly, if not quarterly, like, you know, biannually or annually, like really kind of assessing, okay, well, what's the next 12 months look like for me? You know, it's really helps when you compound those seasons and you turn those seasons into years. And the next thing, you're 10 years down the track and you're living completely different to your mates who have gone 10 years the other way, you know, and you've gone, okay, I'm focusing 10 years here in restoration.
Yeah, 100%. Like, that's the main thing. Like, what's it going to be long term? And that's what I've been thinking about the last week. It's got to be, that's the beginning point, is just staying strict carnivore, at least for a longer time, because I felt on fire, and I can't operate properly mentally without feeling physically on fire. Like, I'm working on the tools every day, like 6 days a week, 8-10 hours a day, and I'm working out, and then I'm coming home to a 3-year-old son that is fucking wild and wants to play. And I would never ever want the other stuff to get in my way and be like, no, I can't do it. Like, I have to be able to do it. I have to be able to do it. Otherwise, if I can't do that, the mental struggles. So it's got to be that base has to be that, from exactly what you were just talking about, the longevity of it, and who do you want to be every day? That's got to be the base of it for now anyway, and for a prolonged period of time, and see how we go.
For sure. Awesome to hear, mate. It's really cool to see guys close out the 90 days on a big win and like have a new level of thinking and foundation to work with. I know when we first spoke, you were like, I just need that oomph. I need that ignition back, and I need that like calibration. And you can sense it in the way you're turning up now. So well done, mate. It's awesome to know that you've laid that new foundation.
Cheers. Appreciate you, mate.
Very good. All right, fellas, let's move into some reflection questions. So just the last week, actually, I've been going so deep into myself again. Just reflecting on ultimately who I want to be as a father and who I want to be as a family man, who I want to be as a leader, how I want to show up, and the legacy I'm leaving as well with myself. And so I've been prompting some questions in the morning in my journal reflections, and they've been super powerful. So I wanted to share them tonight with you guys to work through actively on the call, so that you're in this energy with yourself as well. Like I said, it's bigger than nutrition, it's bigger than training, it's bigger than doing pull-ups and handstand push-ups and whatever. It is literally about who you turn up in life as. So grab yourself a pen and a piece of paper, and I'm going to rattle off some questions, and then we're just going to work through them one at a time. I'll have a bit of time with them as well. Like, it's a bit of a process where you can think and let your thoughts run, and then record them and reassess. So the first one was just start with simply with gratitude. I always start here because it neutralizes the emotion, whether we're down or whether up. It'll ground you. It'll bring you to a place of presence. So you're going to start with the 5 most important events that have happened in your life to date that you're grateful for. So just have a think about the 5 most important events. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes here. Just get stuck in to that to start with. And with each event, just describe why you're grateful for it. So really let the pen flow. Let the thoughts run, get them down on paper. And within each of those events, think about why you're grateful for it. So in the last couple of minutes there, just go back through each point if you haven't finished them yet, and consider what life experience you got out of each of those events. So if you can look at each one and think, okay, why am I grateful for it, and what life experience or what lesson did it teach me? Beautiful. All right. So the next one we're going to go into is a little bit of future tense. All right. So we're using gratitude there to pull blood from the stone from the past. Now we're going to move into a future-based question. So I want you to put on the page 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. And we're going to spend about a minute on each of those. We're going to describe what your ideal future looks like if things go to plan under those categories. So what does your ideal future look like in 1 year? What does your ideal future look like in 3 years? And what does your ideal future look like in 5 years? If you want to put the ages next to them as well, it also helps. So put your age, what you'll be in age next to those, and then think about what that looks like when you go a minute on each. So time's on. Think about the things you've achieved, things you can get excited for. All right. So if you can move on to your 3 year target. So if you were to put 3 solid years together, how different could your life look? How are you there, brother? Good to see you.
Hey brother, how you doing?
Very good. Hey, we're just answering some reflection questions with a pen and paper. You other fellas move on to 5-year target. So, Matty, think about what's the ideal future for you in 12 months from now? So, if everything was to go to plan, just describe with a pen and paper what the ideal future would look like for you.
Right.
Give you guys about another 30 seconds. So, what's the ideal outcome? If everything goes to plan, you focus, you discipline, you put the energy in the right areas. What does that future look like?
Hey Jordan, did you see the message in the Telegram from Dion?
Uh,
He's in the waiting room.
yeah, beautiful. I'll let him in. All right, we're going to move on to the next one. So with this is a little bit more of a lengthy exercise, but I want you to just start by listing as much as you can. Okay, so just doesn't matter if it's not exactly what you want to be or it's not exactly on the right point, but just literally list as many as you can. Okay, so we're going to describe the person you want to be in 3 words. All right, so the way you're going to do that is we're just going to start with 2 minutes and you're going to list every single attribute, every single characteristic, everything that you want to be. Just start banging them out and listing them on the page. So I'll give you 2 minutes here. And go for it. So you're describing words, describing the person you want to be. Hey D, how are you, mate? Sorry about that. Hey, we're just pen to paper, and you're just listing out words that are describing who you want to be. So just list as many words as you can, characteristics, attributes. Just get as many down on paper as you can.
No worries.
And really let your mind flow with this stuff, guys. As soon as your thoughts come into your head, get them down on paper. If you get stuck, get creative with your thinking. All right, now with that list and with that group of words, you're going to put them into 3 categories. So trying to categorize them into different parts of who you want to be. Okay, with the goal of we're eventually going to choose 3 main core words for you. Okay, so if you need to narrow it down, kind of pull them up, and then we're going to have another minute after just to get really solid on like your 3 words that you've really landed on that would describe who you want to be. So I'll give you a minute here. Just pull them into a bit of group. So, if there's a lot around maybe how you want to be as a dad, or how you want to be in business, or as a partner, or as a friend, just kind of group them as best you can. So you're organizing those words into categories almost.
A second, and I'll come back from my bathroom.
Okay. Thanks for asking nicely. All right, so with those categories, I'll give you another minute just to land on 3 words for you to describe who you want to be. So if you can narrow it down, pick those 3 and see if you can find words that, I guess, at a core underpin the other things that you want. So if there's one word that incorporates 3 or 4 things, we're more drawn to use that as a foundation. Okay, very good. So move on to the next one. So on the back of describing who you want to be, answer for me, living purposefully at this stage of your life, so in the current phase of your life, means that you're living what purpose? Okay, so for you in the phase that you're in right now, what is the purpose of your life? And just describe to yourself that inner why. Yeah, why you're doing what you're doing, why you're focusing on what you're doing, why you're focusing on becoming better. What is your purpose inside in this phase of life? I'll give you 2 minutes here. Just unpack your purpose as a man, as a father, So consider things like your values and what you're prioritizing, putting energy into. Think about how it feels when you're living in alignment with your purpose. So you're actually taking advantage of each day. You're not letting them go and wasting them and not being your best. And think about what it means to live with purpose. So like when you've got a focus and a purpose about each day in your life, how do you turn up differently? All right, so the last one is considering your final days on the planet. So your last days with your loved ones or your last day on Earth. You would love to know that during this lifetime, people had these thoughts about you and they'll remember you in this way. So consider your last days and how do you think you've lived your life? How do you think you've turned up for people? What kind of man have you been for others and for yourself? Cool. So to go a bit deeper into that reflection, think about those answers you've just put down on the page, right? There's going to be some things that you're currently doing to work towards those goals, the vision of the future, maybe the actions and the disciplines in the now. However, it gives us a broader, I guess, outlook and perspective on, okay, what levers could I pull more? And what could I give more energy so that I actually create that legacy of myself faster? You know, so how can I be a better version of myself in alignment with what I want for the future? So if you think about how you'd want to be remembered when you're gone, what is it that's not yet achieved? What is it that you're not yet currently being, and as an example, or what level of your example is not yet where you'd like it to be? And this is just an inner knowing. Like this is just stuff that you know within yourself. You can see it clearly in front of you when you've got these examples, and it's happening in your head. It's happening in your heart, it's happening in your mind. You have the opportunity to correlate and align with those things, or we have the opportunity as men to turn a blind eye and just get caught doing the same old shit, right? Like, how often would you think, or how common is it, do you think, for men to not really think any deeper than the superficial? How common is it for men just to kind of follow what everyone else is doing and just not truly think about the foundations they're setting and the impressions they're having and the legacy that they're leaving? They're kind of just like following the Joneses, keeping up with the Joneses, and not really thinking about their day-to-day actions. But when you've got these insights into yourself, it's like, I want to be a kind or strong or resilient, or I want to be a better example with compassion or love, or whatever it is, these attributes. You can reflect and like, okay, maybe I can start being that now. A big part for me is like a big one for me is I want to be super present and super loving for my children, because I didn't really get that from my old man. He was super blunt, and I've kind of had to heal a lot of shit within me because I just kind of wasn't given a lot of I guess I wasn't given a lot of love from dad, and I think it had a lot of a block with me around like the masculine and being able to actually love and accept love. And so for me, after doing these exercises, like, I've committed to just hugging my son for longer, and I've been doing it the last 7 days. And like sometimes I hug him for like 5 minutes and he doesn't say anything. It's like, it's wild. Like when we open ourselves up to this stuff, I don't know what effect that's going to have on him, but just to know that dad's there, I'm there for a hug for as long as he needs, those little things. So I don't know. I just wanted to share this stuff with you because I'm kind of going to new levels. I'm being prompted to go to new levels and expansive levels within myself. So I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to also have those reflections. Is there anything that popped out significantly for you, whether it was like the gratitude or the purpose, or being aware of how you be remembered? Like, what was some of the powerful things for you in that exercise?
Can you hear me, mate?
Yep, loud and clear.
It's quite a reflective thing to do when you, first of all, write down who you want to be or what you want to be known as. And then what someone would say about you when you're no longer around. Like, and I thought of childhood friends. I've thought of boarding school mates that I'm still very close to. Obviously, my kids, my parents, if I was to go before them, and my sisters and their families, but it's collectively all the people that have meant something to me, because I know what they mean to me. But when I was writing some things down, I thought, I've got WhatsApp friendship groups that we've formed through either childhood friends or boarding school mates that we keep in contact with each other. And you feel like reaching out to them and saying, like, what have I meant to you? I know what you mean to me, but because when you're gone, you never hear it. You're not going to hear collectively at your wake when you're no longer around. You're not going to hear what they say about you. So you'd like to think that the things I've written down about who I want to be, how I want to be remembered, like respected, healthy, happy, humble, grateful, balanced, fit, loving, nurturing, caring, successful, centered, excited, professional, like all the things that I want to be seen as. At the end of the day, the success doesn't mean anything. It's really who you are as a person. So it's a really powerful question.
Yeah, and it also opens up an opportunity to have a a meaningful conversation with those that matter to you. Like I envisioned my best mate reaching out and saying, "Hey brother, what have I meant to you? Like, you know, like what value have I added?" And I would just let him know, like, mate, you are fucking rock solid. You've been there for me through thick and thin. You know, we've seen ups and downs. We've both been through some shit, but you're always there for me. You're always supportive. You're always jamming me up. You're always pumping me up, you know, like encouraging me, pushing me to the next level. Like to have that conversation with your mates, I think it adds more value to what you're doing here on earth. It adds more value to appreciating each other. And I think that's one of the blocks, and we were speaking earlier, one of the blocks around the masculine is men fear that connection in fear that it's soft or you're a pussy or whatever because you're speaking about emotions. However, you know, if we talk about anger or depression or all this shit, it's okay to feel that. But as a man, it's not okay to like show a brother that, mate, I really appreciate you having around because you mean so much to me as a mate. You know, it's like these levels that we're blocked off to are almost blocking us from experiencing more of life, the good stuff of life. And yeah, like you said, Simon, your friends and your family mean so much to you, right? I'm sure you all agree with that. So how can we get out of the mundane repetition of just another day in and out doing the same stuff, and how can we encourage more connection between the humans that we appreciate?
One thing I did when I was at a bit of a low point in my life, because I traveled around a lot when I left school in the work I was doing. I had footy mates, and I was moving from country town to country town all through New South Wales and Victoria, and I just formed friendship groups and just connected with certain people. And when I was a bit low and I wasn't connected with my own family through my own fault, I just made a conscious decision each week. I would call 5 people I hadn't spoken to, and some took a while to track down, but I just reached out to people to talk to them because I wasn't in a good place. I wasn't ringing them to tell them that. I just needed people to talk to.
Mm.
And I just thought, so who can I ring? Like, I haven't spoken to Jordan for 5 years. I'm just going to ring Jordan and say, how you going, mate? Like, how's life? Where are you? What are you doing? Are you married? You got kids? What are you doing for a job? You know? So, but it took me to be in a pretty dark place to just start reaching out. And that was just for me, someone to talk to, because I was going back to a little flat on my own. Like my wife at the time and the kids were in the house that we were living in. So it was a pretty low point in my life. So, you know, it took a pretty bad turn for me to reach out to people that I cared for. And I think we should do more of that. You know, I've got so many friends that I've made over the years, and I don't keep in touch with not enough of them.
Mm.
It's just something that we should do more of, I think.
Yeah, and do it when you're in a positive place. Do it when you're on a high. You know, connect with people like that. You know, at the end of the day, our relationships are so valuable to us. Yet we just kind of baseline cruise this superficial layer of, hey, you going? Yeah, good. Yeah, works all right, whatever. You know, it's like never like this, hey, this appreciation level, you know, like getting to this true connection of like what value do we bring to each other's lives and appreciating, because that's how we exemplify and we compound relationships. We show appreciation and gratitude, and we strengthen bonds, and we know how much we mean to each other. It really does help. It's an amazing prompt. It inspires some serious reflection and value. Anything else stick out for you, other fellas?
I just following on from what sort of Simon said and what you were saying, I think one of the biggest challenges is the fact that like it's inbuilt into Australian culture and things like that, is that so many people are about bitching about others and knocking people down.
Mm.
And I think that like you think about when you you engage with, like I engage with a lot of younger people at school, and it's about positive reinforcement and sort of lifting them up and things like that, and encouraging them to become whatever it is that they want to become or do something better. But then when you look into the bigger wide world, it's all a competitive environment where it's about beating someone else and knocking someone else down, or like it's a cultural thing. And I think for us to, you've really got to get through that mindset of, okay, I've got to focus really hard on trying to do something different here. And I reckon there's got to be some fear around the fact that, okay, like what Simon's sort of saying, and if you're reaching out to people and you're talking, are you going to get back? What's the reception going to be like? Because if you sort of saying positive things to that person, it's just stuff, how are they going to take it? Like, how are they going to be, hey, what's up with you? Like, what's going on here? And I think for a lot of people, there's a lot of fear around sort of behaving in that manner because it's been so built into you not to be like that. And that's probably, I think, the biggest challenge about it. I've obviously had some mates and myself last year, sort of some stuff I went through. You sort of, certain mates I felt comfortable talking to and sharing to, and I know that I've had my mates contact me in the same way. But I think you sort of, for me, I know I've only probably got a select few in my, I'm a bit like Simon, I know for buckets and buckets and buckets of people, but yeah, I reckon I'd only have a select few that I would have the trust in to be able to really engage at that super connected level. And that's the challenge, is having those right people and knowing that they're the right people for you to be able to trust and, I guess, engage in a way where you get to feel like your time spent with them is worthy of doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and they're probably the ones that mean the most to you. Which is a very good indicator in itself.
Isn't it an interesting, this is gold, guys. Isn't it an interesting analogy? I mean, as Dion was talking there, and I 100% agree with you, mate. Like, I've just written 10 of my closest friends. 2 of them are females. 2 of them are really good close friends of mine that I used to live with years and years and years ago, but I'm really close to both of them. And I've just written 10 people down that I, ring over the next month or so. Yeah, what does my friendship mean to you? Like, what do I mean to you? And some of my mates would say exactly what Dion just said. Well, you're taking the piss, mate. Like, what do you mean? What sort of question's that? And it's a reflection of us as men. Whereas if I rang Kiralee or Janita, and boom, straight away out the gate, you're just an amazing bloke, down to earth, can always call you. You're loving, you're nurturing, you're a good laugh, you're good fun to go out with. You're a great father, like straight off the bat. Whereas the blokes, and some of my mates would think about it and then boom. But it's just, I think that's a reflection of, some of my mates would find that challenging to answer.
Yeah, and we could go into a whole rabbit hole around Aussie culture and why there's so many blocks there for men and why we do struggle to connect. But I just, at the end of the day, it's a prompt, and if there are mates and people in your life that you want to just reach out to, like, for instance, say you died tomorrow, you never got to have that conversation with them. How much does it actually mean to have that conversation? And it might only be like 1 or 2 people in your life, but like, I know I could ring 3 or 4 of my good, close male mates, like my best mates from life, and go, hey, bro, I really fucking appreciate what you've done for my life. I really appreciate how you've been there. It's been so epic. The memories, we've been, it's just, we've had a great time. I really appreciate you as a mate. And they go, yeah, brother, I really appreciate you too. And it's so easy to just live life. We got families, we got business, we got all the shit going on, and it's so easy to just let time pass. And then there's so much value in these relationships. There's so much support and appreciation. It's like the emotion doesn't just have to be the shit and we have to wade through the shit. We can also inject all of this energy back into our lives in a positive way. The other question the other main one I wanted to address was the 3 words. What you guys landed on as your 3 words, your core words for how you want to describe yourself. So mine are strong, present, and limitless. I think strength as an underpinning description or example of who you are underpins so many other things. Presence, because I truly want to be a present man. I want to be there in a conversation with someone and know that I'm there, and I want to be present for my kids and my partner. And then limitless, because I really want to break any shackles that are holding me back. You know, that as a word, a power word for me, helps me think, okay, be bigger than your own story. Pass it over to you guys. What are your 3 words? What excites you, and what's meaningful for you to describe yourself?
I'll go. I got sort of similar to you. I had sort of active and present role within the family, I suppose, in your core unit. That's your sort of priority, and then the next one was sort of driven and energetic, and that's sort of, I guess, business and life. You know, you really want to be turning up every day with that positive attitude and not dragging your heels in the door. And then, yeah, similar to your limitless, I just had strong and strength in all those aspects. Same sort of thing.
Awesome. So what was it? Active, present,
Driven and strong.
active, driven, and strong. It's awesome, eh? It's like when you think about these reflections, it's like, okay, well, what does that look like? Am I turning up for those words? Am I putting in the actions to be that man? You know, and then that's a personal reflection. You know, it's just like, okay, pull this a bit harder, pull this string, pull this lever, fine tune that, rein this in, and I'll be that man. You know, and you've made massive changes in the last couple of months, Jeremy. Like, it's awesome to know that, like, that's what your mind's focusing on, and it's also where your actions are driving you toward.
Well, I had a bit of a light bulb moment on the weekend. I was talking to sort of good family friend I've known for a long time. And he's got a business as well. We've worked side by side a few times, and we got talking about hours and workload stuff. And he said, "Oh, yeah, I've been working Saturdays every weekend this year." And I said, "Mate, I could tell you the last time I worked a Saturday." And he was shocked. He said, "You know, like, you don't work Saturdays?" And I said, "Not really." I said, "I'm like, I'm put a chuck a couple of hours in here and there, but I don't ever plan a Saturday." And he couldn't believe it. He's like, "That's next level."
It's just breaking a story, hey.
And he's like that sort of 60-year-old working class generation. And yeah, just he was shocked.
Yeah, no, it's funny what happens when you take control. When you take control, there's just whole new realms to just write a story that suits you, right? That's so epic. How about you, Matt or Nick? You guys got a couple of words that describe yourselves?
Yeah, can you hear me and see me?
Yeah, mate. All good.
So easy. You guys are all frozen on my screen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but my Zoom was earlier today, so I'm not sure if some on my account or something. But anyway,
No, you're all, we can hear loud and clear.
too easy. So I've got trustworthy. I feel like that stems down to quite a few different things. For example, like do what I say. I think that's even, when I say I'm going to turn up to something for my kids, I'm there, and I think it's also stems down to the marriage and everything as well. I've also got present, like you said, Jordan, when I'm there, I want to be there. I don't want to be distracted. I don't want to be thinking about work. When I'm spending time with my family, I want to be actually spending time with my family. And I also got ambitious. So I kind of feel like it's the same as you boys. It's these different sections and this is my one that's for business as well. And then obviously it's just ambitious to, build the business foundation for a fulfilling life. And then just to go back on what you said before, with the whole on the final days of this planet, we actually had this realization with a uncle that passed away about 14 months ago, because he was our uncle, but we didn't really think much of him. He was, fun to be around and stuff like that. And you thought, oh, yeah, that's him. He's in New Zealand. And then he passed away unexpectedly. And then it was actually quite a shock to everyone, even his own son. It was a shock to everyone that of actually how many people turned up. I think he had like 600 people turn up to his funeral. And even his son, like 2 weeks before, was saying like to his dad, "Oh, you have no friends." And his dad would turn around and say, "Oh, yeah, you got no idea." And then 600 people turned up to his funeral, and everyone spoke about how generous he was, and he was the first person to answer calls, and there was this whole bunch of stuff like that where I think for us it was like, oh, you know, he was actually a really good example of what happens when you pass away and you've done a really fulfilling and generous life. People didn't talk about his business or what he did for work. They just talked about the type of person that he was and the impact that he made in people's lives. So that was an interesting, I guess, realization for us that we had when that happened.
Yeah, that's powerful, hey. And that's so cool. It really is. It's like how you treat people.
Yeah.
How you treat people, how you make them feel, what you did for them. That's the stuff that people remember.
Yeah.
That's so cool, mate. That's an awesome share. Thanks for sharing that. And it's great to hear your words as well. We'll all have a different spin on them. I do think as men, we want similar things. We want to build, create, provide, protect, be there for our families, and that will come through a different light with each of us. But just having these abilities, these moments where you just stop for a second and actually consider the thoughts running through your head and create the vision for the future, it gives you so much. It fills your tank. It really fills your tank, gives you purpose in your day. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm, being disciplined or being focused or, making some sacrifices or taking some risks or whatever it is, because ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't just want to be a robot and I don't just want to exist. I want to have a real red hot crack at this. If I've not had a crack, I want to call myself out and turn up and start being better. If I'm in a place where I'm content, I don't want to get comfortable. I want to keep going to new levels. So yeah, some powerful shares there, fellas. How about you, Nick? 3 words?
You can hear me?
Yeah, mate.
Oh, working finally. Yeah.
We're good.
3 words. I love you. No. Hard work. Be there for the wife and kids and be present.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's like the strength, the work ethic.
Yep.
And then the provide,
we'll be providing. Yeah, I'll put that there. Yeah.
Yeah, strong manner, and then the presence.
Mm.
I had also, Matt, I had trustworthy on my list, and I was, because being a man of my word is pretty important to me. After my granddad's legacy, he just every single thing he said. Every single thing. There's not been a moment in my life where my pop has said something that didn't get done or he didn't follow through on, which has been super, super impressive. Whether he's very calculated and only says a small amount of things, or whether he's just the master at following through. It's been an inspirational thing for me, is like really considering that. And trustworthy was a big thing for me. And for me, strength underpin that, because you need to be strong to be humble and honest and a man of your word. And it's like, if you can land on those 3 words for you, really live it. Like, live it this week, live it. Tomorrow, live it. Have them in your head. And then if you need to revisit it more and more, like, have these notes somewhere where you can read them over. Because by revisiting this, you're going to get you'll activate your own personal feedback mechanism, your own call out system, and your own action plan moving forward. Just let your own internal compass just steer in the way that you need to go. So Very, very powerful stuff, brothers. I really, really enjoy you jumping on. I love these, just love these calls because, ultimately at the end of the day, I'll go. Well, I've fortunately forged a life where I don't have many negative conversations anymore, but I do remember what it's like to be kind of in and out of both worlds. When I was working on site, there's a lot of rubbish going on as a tradie, and then you'd get home and I'd be talking differently to guys online or within my mentorship and stuff. So I do understand if you're kind of dancing between both worlds, how important conversations like this can be. Like, for instance, you at school, Dion, or small town mentality kind of thing with where you're at in Mildura, and just all the different situations that we navigate. So having these calls each week really set that platform for new thoughts and new ways of thinking, and then new ways of operating moving forward, right? Very good, fellas. Awesome. Well, we've ticked over 8 o'clock, so we might wrap it up there. But yeah, just want to say thanks. I really appreciate it. Good fun. It's good fun connecting with quality men, pushing yourself to new levels. And yeah, I'll catch you on the call next week. And any questions, drop them in the group chat. Let's get some training videos back up. I want to see some more momentum with training videos. I've been slack. I've been surfing my ass off. And when the surf's good, I don't train. That's like a golden rule. I just surf until I can't move. So awesome stuff. And yeah, we'll catch you. Give yourselves an unmute and say goodbye, and I'll end the call.
Thanks,
mate.
guys.
Talk to you,
Have a
boys.
nice week. Great to see you all.
You too. Catch us all.
Is that right?